What's going on, YouTube? JT's Reborn here, and welcome back to another edition of After the Movie. So last night I got done watching the all-new film Mortal Kombat. It is a reboot of the Mortal Kombat franchise, which has had several films and TV shows spun off from it. You had the original 1995 film Mortal Kombat, which is, widely regarded as one of the better video game adaptations by most people. There's still some charm to it. There's some bad, but there's still some good things in that film, particularly the guy playing Shang Tsung, who's just pitch perfect in that film. And then you had its sequel, which was Mortal Kombat Annihilation, which is one of the worst films you'll ever see, but it's so bad that it's actually kind of funny. Like, if you can get some friends together, you can laugh and have a good time at that one. There was a few other there was some animated TV show, I believe. There was a live-action TV show. I think it was Mortal Kombat Conquest, I believe. There was also Mortal Kombat Legacy, which came after somebody, I believe it was Kevin Tancherone, made a Mortal Kombat kind of fan film as kind of a pitch for a new Mortal Kombat series. And Mortal Kombat Legacy I thought was actually pretty good. But now we have this brand new reboot, Mortal Kombat. And what did I think of it overall? So I'll think what I thought of it overall, and I'll get into like the plot of this thing. The movie, God, it's like, I think it's passable. It's not a great movie. It's not a bad film. And it delivers on some things. Like, the fatalities in this movie are amazing. Like, when you come for the fights and fatalities, you're going to get that. And you want to see the characters from Mortal Kombat, get to see all their various finishing moves and that. You're going to get that in this movie. But it feels like this is another case of Warner Brothers, which there is proof of this according to one of the actors from the film. They did cut this film down. This film was substantially cut down, and it's not really given enough time, I feel like, to breathe a bit. Or even when it comes to the fighting, like, there's some great martial arts on display here, but there's a lot of quick cut editing, which is kind of annoying, where it's just like, it's constant cut, because there's some great martial arts on display here. So if they would have lingered on some shots a little bit more, really felt the impact of the punches more, I think it would have delivered a little better. But there's some fucking awesome stuff in this thing too. The fatalities, what I love about Mortal Kombat so much is the fatalities. I mean, I guess I should reiterate, I'm a Mortal Kombat fan. I'm not the biggest expert when it comes to the lore of the franchise. I'm more there just to kind of play the games and just have some fights. But I have a rough idea of Mortal Kombat. Again, I've seen the 95 film. I watched Mortal Kombat Legacy. I've seen Annihilation. It's awfulness, but kind of entertaining bits. So, and I've played a lot of the games. I got the first, I think I have like Mortal Kombat Trilogy on PS1 still, and Mortal Kombat 4. Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe, Mortal Kombat X. So I've played my fair share of Mortal Kombat over the years. So I know a lot of the characters. Obviously, my favorites is probably Scorpion. Sub-Zero is pretty close up there too, but I've always been kind of a Scorpion guy, and he's kind of the most popular character in the franchise. I've always liked playing his other things. I like playing as Raiden. Raiden was always pretty cool with his little diving finishing move where he was like, and then boom. And then, of course, you had other characters like Liu Kang, Sonya Blade, Jax, Shao Kahn, Shang Tsung. There's a lot of Mortal Kombat characters out there. So the film, I feel like, is kind of faithful in terms of some ways with the lore, although they did add new things. Like, they brought in this completely original character named Cole Young, who's just kind of there. I mean, the martial arts this guy can do is impressive for the actor, but as a character, I'm like, why are we following a character who's not from the games? And again, if you're trying to introduce like kind of the lore of Mortal Kombat to like mainstream audiences, you really should have kind of taken the time to spend with these things. Because again, this feels like a movie where if you're familiar with the Mortal Kombat lore, you're going to pick up on everything kind of right away. But if you're somebody who's never really seen it, you're going to be left wondering, why should I really care? So that's kind of the hit or miss point with this film. And I think the movie overall is all right. Like, the fatalities are awesome. There's some cool fight sequences in here. I just wish there was a little bit less quick cutting away. I mean, not in any martial arts that's going to be like the most groundbreaking things. I mean, there is some there. Like, the first 10 minutes of this film I thought was like golden. Like, that's the kind of movie I almost wish the rest of it kind of was, until some of the fight scenes. I mean, there's some great performances in here, like some great like I said, the guy playing Kano was great. Scorpion and Sub-Zero are, every time they're on screen, you're just all in. I mean, Sub-Zero is kind of the main villain of this film, and just some of the things he can do with his little ice powers. He literally like he explodes Jax's arm, so that's what I was able to get his little metal arm thing. I thought that was pretty awesome. I'm just sitting there like, oh my god, it's amazing. So from a fan perspective, a lot of this movie is really cool, and it is worth checking out for that stuff. It's definitely not a bad movie by any means. I just kind of wish it would have been a little bit longer, because this thing's just clocks in at like an hour and 50 minutes, just under that. It just feels like a lot of this movie was kind of trimmed down and we just kind of rushed through things so much. And again, this seems to be a problem with Warner Brothers movies, especially their tentpole films. I don't know what the deal is with Warner Brothers. It's like they're trying to get to the bare minimum just to get to the end so they can get the best box office results, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say because this movie, it feels really, really rushed. There's not even a Mortal Kombat tournament in this Mortal Kombat movie. How do you have a Mortal Kombat movie and not have a tournament? It's like, okay, we're going to get to the tournament, but Shang Tsung's like, we're going to kill everyone before the tournament, so we don't have a tournament. What, like, aren't the Elder Gods supposed to, like, interfere when it comes to that? I don't know. It just kind of gets a little bit confusing in that regards. But how are some of the other characters? Jax is pretty good. Like I said, if you're familiar with some of the characters from the video games, they're mostly handled quite well. Like, Kano was a real standout. Like, this guy's just a piece of shit asshole the whole way through. And he's got some funny lines kind of thrown in there, too. Sub-Zero and Scorpion, best thing about this movie, though, was it Cabal was the other one? He had some funny bits. Sonya was pretty good. Yeah, pretty much like Kung Lao is pretty cool too. He has probably the best fatality where he splits somebody in half with this hat. Goro's in there too, but he's not really given much to do. Raiden, I was sorely disappointed because he doesn't stand out at all in this movie. Raiden is pretty much a nothing character in this film. It made me miss Christopher Lambert from the '95 film because at least he was memorable. Same with Liu Kang. Liu Kang should have... I would have rather had Liu Kang kind of be the lead than Cole. Because, well, I mean, it's Liu Kang. Why are we following an original character as opposed to somebody like Liu Kang? I felt like in the original '95 film, there was more of a connection there between Liu and Shang Tsung that was worth kind of exploring a bit. Here, it's just we don't really have that main driving force connection. I mean, you have the character of Cole Young, who is a descendant of Scorpion, who we find out Hanzo Hasashi, and his family is murdered, but like one of the babies is kept to the side by Raiden, kind of, watches over the family for generations. And then he kind of comes back later on in the film because apparently he was in hell for a few hundred years once Cole figures out some of his little Mortal Kombat powers. Where was I getting at this? But yeah, so you have that. I would have rather, like, there was not really much of a connection between them and the main villain, Shang Tsung. I mean, there was with him in Sub-Zero, but Shang Tsung is trying to win the tournament so he can invade Earthrealm. And another disappointment that I have, unfortunately, is that Shang Tsung is just kind of there as a villain. This movie feels incomplete. And what I mean by that is it feels like the setup to a actual Mortal Kombat fight in a movie. Because this time around, they're all fighting right before the tournament. And the tournament never really happens. So I'm like, we have all these fights. It's kind of done in a little montage fashion. Again, there's some exciting stuff in here and some really impressive looks and attacks, and a lot of the characters using their various finishing moves. Liu Kang doing his little kick thing. Raiden doesn't do anything. Kung Lao, again, has the coolest moments there. Sub-Zero really feels like a genuine threat with all his little ice powers and what he can do, like breaking people's bones into. Scorpion doing the get over here. The kid in me was like, okay, that's pretty awesome. And just the violent, vicious, bloody fatalities, which Jack's taking his fist and just exploding somebody's head. All that shit was amazing. Every time I was like, oh, that's fucking cool. So there's a lot of moments in this film where I went, that's pretty fucking cool. So the movie delivers on that. In terms of the storytelling, it's a bit too rushed. If you're, again, as I said, if you're not really familiar with Mortal Kombat in general, you're going to be kind of lost and wondering, like, why should I really care about this? It's kind of one of those things. And again, if you're a fan, there may be some things that may kind of irritate you. Again, some things like Scorpion and Sub-Zero handled quite well. Other things like Goro getting killed off super easily, not really doing anything, may upset some fans. And the big one, which a lot of people are upset about, there is no Johnny Cage in this movie. And again, Johnny Cage's comedic timing is sorely missed in this thing. Hopefully with the sequel, which if they get to make one, we don't really necessarily know at this point. I mean, from what I gather, people are generally like more positive than negative on this film. Nobody's really outright saying it's like the worst thing in existence. But it is, because it is a competently made film. The actors do a good job for the most part, and there's some good action. Could have been better. It's not like another movie that has a little bit more violent, but like better fight sequences is something like the Raid series. This one, again, probably the little bit of the over editing, I should say, and the less, it's gruesome at the fatalities, but kind of during the fight sequences, it's a little bit more tame. I wish we could have gotten like more bloody, violent stuff, like with every single punch, and really kind of feel the impact of that. I think that would have helped the film a little bit more. But as it stands, I think the movie is fine. Could have been a lot worse, but it definitely could have been a lot better. Perhaps with this longer extended version I'm hearing is out there. Again, this seems to be a trend with Warner Brothers movies. It happened with Godzilla vs. Kong. That film got cut to hell. And you can tell, I mean, people are overall happy with the final package, but there's so much of the setup and like lore and world building to really kind of get to those points that just feels kind of missing. I mean, this thing breezes really fast by. I mean, by the time it's over, like, that was it. It's done. So, do I recommend seeing it? If you're a Mortal Kombat fan, you definitely want to check this thing out. So, the fatalities deliver. Scorpion and Sub-Zero, who I'm mostly there to watch, are really, really awesome. Shang Tsung is kind of a disappointment. You can't top the original Shang Tsung. That guy was so good and so engaging. Like, you just kind of love that guy. And in some ways, I kind of like the original Mortal Kombat more, because I felt like it set up its story a little bit better. Like, I actually, I actually kind of cared more about some of the characters in that film as opposed to this one. And I want to care more about the current things, because again, it is a better directed, it's certainly a better made film. It's just, we're almost there. We're almost there. Perhaps if this film was a little bit longer, really kind of took its time a little bit more, we could get something that is a truly like amazing experience. But for the most part, I think this film should satisfy Mortal Kombat fans. I thought it was fine. It could have been a lot better, but it could have been a lot worse. So those are my thoughts on Mortal Kombat. The fatalities are awesome. I have watched the movie twice at this point. I kind of watched it once, and then I went back and rewatched it again last night because, well, I wanted to watch it again just to be like, okay, am I missing something? And I did enjoy it a little bit more in the second viewing, but I feel like this is one film that's not going to really stay with me for a while. It'll be something where I just kind of maybe look up some of the fatalities, but other than that, it just kind of left me wanting a little bit more. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on Mortal Kombat. What did you think of the film? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Be sure to like this video, share it with your friends. Are you a Mortal Kombat fan? What's your favorite game? Who's your favorite character? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you all so much for watching this. As always, take care now. Bye-bye then, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace. Get over here! Here! Also, the Mortal Kombat theme, I should say it one time, they play it over the credits, and it's kind of a shitty dubstep version. It just makes me miss the old version. Like, that original techno theme is so good, but this version is just, should have just copied and pasted and put that in here. Alright, that's all I had to say. I miss the old theme. So, yeah. Alright, take care now. Bye-bye then. Peace.